1998, WQED Pittsburgh shot a national documentary for PBS called Great Old Amusement Parks. The hour-long show was released the following year in 1999 and features various vintage amusement parks around the country, quote, older than Disneyland. 20 years later, some things have changed regarding the status of these parks, so I thought it would be fun to analyze the video and see what remains. Included will be some recent pictures of the parks, so you can see what is different today. Note also that many of these parks have other wonderful historic rides, but we'll just be focusing on the attractions covered in Great Old Amusement Parks specifically. Idlewild remains open with most of the attractions showcased in the show. However, some of them have been modified. The PTC Carousel is currently not as shiny as it was 2 decades ago. Let's not even talk about what happened to another PTC creation, the roller coaster. A great loss to Idlewild has been the classic Caterpillar, removed in 2013. Today, only one Caterpillar remains in America. The Mr. Rogers attraction has been reskinned to feature Daniel Tiger. The Storybook Forest remains, although the Jack-in-the-Box shown so prominently in promotions for the program has been removed. The following Cedar Point segment of the show focuses more on the people visiting the park than the rides, which provides an interesting juxtaposition when compared to the serenity of Idlewild. Today, people that thought the
streak is fun
will be saddened, but people that believe
Monster is the best ride at Cedar Point
won't be disappointed. Astroland closed in 2008, but the site of the park goes on today as Luna Park, which operates the classic Cyclone coaster. The Cyclone gets half of the screen time devoted to Coney Island in the documentary, and for good reason. Dino's Wonder Wheel Park remains as is 20 years later, and the Wonder Wheel will turn 100 in 2020. Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk still has the carousel with the ring grab, a rarity in the world of amusement parks, and, although the Giant Dipper is still rolling, it is unknown whether a mechanic still walks the track every 2 hours. A brief look at Lake Compounce, the oldest operating park in America, is next in the program. Although there's a focus on the classic wooden Wildcat coaster, today the park is known for the modern Boulder Dash that opened in 2000. Kennywood is considerably featured, which makes sense considering the PBS station that filmed the show. Not a whole lot has changed, although some of the more modern attractions shown have been changed around. The Whip has also lost its covering. However, the remarks of the guests here are timeless.
They did a shoot the shoot, just like the old shoot the shoot.
I've been on this 7 times.
As a side note, the producer of Great Old Amusement Parks, Rick Seaback, made a wonderful documentary solely about Kennywood in 1988. Kennywood provides a nice tie-in to the only other amusement park that's been designated a National Historic Landmark, Playland in Rye, New York. The Dragon Coaster is still running, although the Memorial Tunnel has received an upgrade. The Derby Racer also remains as an extremely rare ride. I want to know if the employees still dance along the edge of the platform. Additionally, the Kiddie Coaster is still going strong. Oaks Park doesn't have the quote, chunky, Lussy Scooter bumper cars anymore, but there are some others left still around the country. The huge Maple roller rink is exactly as it was 20 years prior, with it being the only one left in the country to retain a live organist. Belmont Park's Giant Dipper, home to the memorable Coaster Marathon of 1998, still thrills riders, although its Pepto-Bismol Pink has been traded in for a color scheme more reminiscent of Santa Cruz's similar ride. Lake Winnipesaukee, better known as Lake Winnie, still has its vintage carousel as well as the John Allen Cannonball, which recently had its trains refurbished. Additionally, the Boat Chute, one of the rides that intrigued me most when I first watched the documentary, is still running. Waylon Park has been the greatest loss among those shown in the special in the ensuing 20 years. Just 2 years after filming took place, Waylon closed forever due to financial troubles. I couldn't find what happened to the antique Loof Carousel, but the Flyer Comet, Looper, Classic Funhouse, Tumblebug, and Rockets are now mere memories. The park is now the site of apartments, a stark change in such a short amount of time. Holiday World has seen innumerable changes in the past 2 decades, chiefly the construction of 4 new roller coasters, the most notable being the Voyage, which anchors a new Thanksgiving-themed area. A park that stood out in 1999 because of Raven still stands out in 2019, just because of a different wooden coaster. The Mother Goose train ride remains intact, just with a different engine. Lakeside is still open with its Wild Chipmunk and Cyclone, cool old coaster art included. The steam trains featured in the documentary no longer run, but there has been restoration efforts in recent years to try to put them back into service. The old tower is not being lit at night anymore and is in a state of disrepair, so some have stated the park's decorative features have been in a decline as of late. However, much old neon remains. With the impending closure of Lich Gardens, Lakeside could soon be left as Denver's main amusement park. A park with a similar name, Lakemont in Pennsylvania, chugged along until 2017, when it closed for a season for redevelopment, which essentially meant shifting the focus away from rides. Remaining closed through 2018, Lakemont finally reopened this year with only the Skyliner and a couple other attractions remaining. Leap the Dips, the world's oldest roller coaster and the ride that had its grand reopening featured in the program, was supposed to come back, but due to some reason it didn't reopen in this year. The 116-year-old ride will most likely reopen in 2020. And that concludes our tour around the country. Out of the 15 parks in Great Old Amusement Parks, it is impressive that only 2 have closed. If another documentary about Old Amusement Parks was to be filmed, there are numerous additional parks that could be included, but I guess that there is only so much time in an hour. Here's hoping that all of these parks will continue to be in operation for another 20 years and more. Thanks for watching!